Okay, in this video, I would like to go over imposter syndrome and just sort of give you a couple of ideas of how you can get over it. If you're unfamiliar with imposter syndrome, it's the feeling that you're literally an imposter. You're worried that there are people who know more than you. You're worried that the people in your audience will see you as a fake or a fraud, or that you really are not the expert in this thing that you claim to be an expert in, and that everyone can tell. The first thing I want to tell you is that if you are feeling this, it's normal. I think we all feel it to a certain degree at one time or another. Some of us suffer from it a little bit more. And this self-doubt can really be crippling in some cases, but it is common. So my first order of business would be to just say, try to give yourself a break a little bit. It's not something that is true if you work on it a little bit. It does not have to be debilitating. The thing to remember about people being better than you at whatever it is you're an expert at is, there's always going to be somebody that's better than you, and there's always going to be somebody that's better than them, and then there's somebody that knows more than that person, and then knows more than that. It kind of goes in a circle. It's not like this high rise where it's like you get to the top and then there's just one person sitting up there being like, you guys suck. It doesn't really work that way, because you might have you here and then another expert who's like, I am more knowledgeable on this topic. But then if somebody asks a different topic, it could easily reverse. I'll give you an example. I started Video for Business. That's my Facebook group. A lot of people have asked questions about cameras and gear and lighting and things like that. Now, while I'm knowledgeable on it, that's certainly not my passion. I'm not like a gearhead, and I like gear, but I don't know everything about every camera. I don't understand everything about every possible lens configuration and all that stuff. And there are people out there who live for that. And I made it very clear in my group that while this is Video for Business, this is not about how to become a Hollywood filmmaker or how to make a vlog like Casey Neistat does. What I teach is how to use video as a medium to project your brand. But in order to do that, you really have to get to the nitty-gritty of the mindset behind all this stuff, which is what I really teach, is what the heck is my brand, right? So that you can project it in the first place. Because how can you project something if you don't even know what it is? People may come into my group and just be like, hey, what do I do with this lens or this thing? I don't pretend to be the expert on that. I know that there are people, even in my own group, who are more knowledgeable than me about that aspect to what we talk about in my group. And I defer to them. I don't pretend to be the be-all, end-all expert of every single aspect of video. I'm really more about branding and marketing and working on your core genius and projecting that outward. Video is just the medium that we use to do that. So there's always going to be somebody better than you at something. Always. And there's always going to be someone better than them at something else. And then you might be better than that person at something else. So then now suddenly you're on top somehow. If you understand that and sort of relax about it a little bit, it's really not anything to worry about, because I don't think that there's anybody in your audience who expects you to be like this god of whatever your topic is. Nobody is. The second part is worrying that everybody sees you as a fraud. If they saw you as a fraud, most people, I think, would just leave your audience. They would unsubscribe from your email list. They would stop watching your videos. They would leave your Facebook group. They would just not pay attention to your page. They wouldn't visit your... These are the things that would happen. It's not like people are going to be like, he's a loser. That's not really what happens when you're worried that you're a fraud. But people aren't looking to call you out. People aren't trying to peek behind the curtain and find the secret sauce that you're using that's actually a trick. It would hurt you if you are literally trying to deceive people, because then what would happen is you would sell something that was just garbage, or you would sell a service and then not be able to actually help any clients. And eventually people would say, don't hire that person. That person doesn't know what they're talking about. And so here are 3 ways that you can sort of help to alleviate the feelings of imposter syndrome. The first way is to just go help someone. If you're feeling like, oh, I'm worried that I'm an imposter, that people can see right through me, or that there are people who are better than me at this, then go and help somebody. Being an expert doesn't mean, like I said, that you're the be-all, end-all. It just means that you're able to help someone who has a problem and bring them a little bit further along the path that they're on. You can go into Facebook groups and you can answer somebody's question. If you run your own group, answer people's questions there, or add a tip, or just post something and watch when people say, wow, that's what I needed to hear today. Thank you for that. That's all an expert is. It's not like people are down in the dregs and in one post you just made, it doesn't work that way. Everybody doesn't just fly up the emotional scale and just get to this place where they're like, I have now solved all of my life's problems because of your post. It doesn't work that way. They might need to read your posts every day for a year before they even start thinking better. You have to just sort of add a little bit of value all the time. And if you just keep adding that value, one by one, you will see people say, hey, thanks for that. Or, wow, I really needed to hear that today. Or, I took your advice and I reached out to so-and-so, or I did that thing you were talking about and it really helped. It did this for me. That's what an expert is. That's what a leader is. There's no secret thing to it, and there's certainly no huge leaps and bounds. We're so used to seeing like the Tony Robbins videos where somebody goes in and be like, I'm ready to kill myself, and then he says 15 words to them and suddenly they're like a millionaire. That's not how it works. It does not work that way. You may help somebody feel better today, and then they still feel like crap again tomorrow because they're on whatever problem path that they're on. But you're there for them again tomorrow. I may teach somebody how to do something in marketing or branding, and then they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. But then the next day their mind reverts back to thinking about it the old way, and then they can't even remember what I said. So I have to be there again and again and again and again and again and again, until they finally start remembering it for themselves. But if you give up on yourself, you're giving up on them, because then you're not going to be there the third or fourth or 15th time that they need to hear your message. So number 2 is stop being perfect. Nobody is. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to say the wrong thing. You're allowed to post something that people disagree with. There are other experts out there who disagree with the way that I approach things. A lot of what I teach is an opinion. A lot of what I teach is based on what I have seen work for me and my clients. But other people may be like, I did it completely differently than that and it worked. Okay, well then you teach it that way. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the one and only way. There is no savior of your topic. There's just you. You have some knowledge. You have some passion about this thing. You're sharing it out there. Do that. That's all there is to this. And then the third part, and really probably the most important part, is to keep learning and keep improving. You're never going to get to a place on your own personal journey where you've learned everything and there's no better way, there's no other way to look at it, there's no other path, there's always more. And there's always more to understand. There's always a better way to explain it. There's always a better way to approach it. You may get to a point 5 years from now where you look at the stuff you were teaching 5 years ago and be like, that's garbage, don't listen to that stuff anymore. That was the best I knew back then. I'm now teaching it this way. And that's okay too, because that was maybe what they needed to hear to get them started. Or maybe technology has changed, or maybe just the way we approach business and life has changed. If I was teaching a video for business 20 years ago, I'd be talking about these giant camcorders up on your shoulder. Nobody uses those things anymore, right? That would be ridiculous. I remember when I was a kid, my dad had this JVC camcorder. It was like literally this big, and you would hold it up on your shoulder, and this was a personal camcorder. Nobody uses those anymore. I'd look ridiculous, but if I were doing this 20 years ago, that's what I would have been talking about. So you need to constantly be learning more and more. That technology changes, our approach to things changes, people's needs change. Always be learning.